Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. I have just gotten back from my week at the beach, and as a little bit of a warm-up, getting back into the swing of how to do YouTube videos, I decided we're just going to do this desk style, also because I'm not really wearing any makeup whatsoever except for a little bit of lip balm, and there's really no need for you to be looking at me right now because I'm just going to tell you what I took with me on holiday when it comes to makeup products. And while I don't consider myself really a minimalist, as you can see there are quite a few makeup products in here, I would also not consider myself someone who packs a lot of makeup. I would say I'm more of a pragmatist than anything else. I like to have my options, but I also want to do it within, the pragmatic limitations of what my holiday really looks like. I'll be honest with you, I also take more or less the same type of makeup when I go on a holiday visiting my parents in Sofia, which is a very different setup in terms of wearing makeup, because there I will have a bit more of like the comfort of my own home, like my parents' home, and I will do my makeup in the morning, then we will be out and we will be out the whole day. Whereas when I go on my beach holidays, I'm essentially at the beach, swimming in the sea, in the pool, all day long. I do not wear any makeup whatsoever. I just realized that I forgot to take something here, so I'm going to show you that as the first item. The only thing I had with me in my Lisa Eldridge tote bag, by the way, the one that we got as a free gift with purchase together with the newest summer release, I took a Panui with me. So this is one of her balms. I don't remember how these were called. This was always in my bag, no matter where I went. In the plane or at the beach, this was the only product that I had, and I constantly was reapplying, besides sunscreen, obviously. But the rest of the makeup, I would really only wear in the evening for a couple of hours. We didn't really do anything special. We just took a little... We had dinner in the hotel. We had an all-inclusive hotel, so we just had dinner in the hotel, and then we took a little beach stroll along the resort, went back, had some cocktails, and then went back to sleep. So essentially I wore makeup for a good 2-3 hours per evening, where no one really was paying attention to what kind of makeup I was wearing and any of that. So a couple of times I even considered going only wearing lipstick, but because I had already taken the eyeshadow palettes with me, I thought it's a bit of a shame not to use them. So let's just go through it one by one, and I will tell you my reasoning behind taking specific products and why I combine them in this way, and hopefully that's interesting for you and somewhat useful. So let's start with complexion products. Let me pull out all the complexion products that I took, because those were pretty minimal. And of course, I'm also going to show you the tools that I took with me. But essentially, when it comes to base products and tools for applying those base products, this is what I took with me. And we can just very quickly go through it. I don't use primer already for years, so that never really makes my makeup bag anyway, because I just don't have one. But when it comes to base, as in foundation, concealer, I've been taking this product from Chanel with me for the past couple of years. I think for the past possibly 2 years, ever since this was released. This is the Chanel Water Fresh Complexion Touch, not to be confused with the Water Fresh Complexion Tint, which is more of like a really sheer skin tint. They're very similar products, and they work very similarly in the sense that you can also see that in the bottle they look like a liquid in which you have these little pigment balls, and those pigment balls will burst on your skin and they will give you a little bit of a tint. In the case of the actual tint, you will get very sheer coverage. Honestly, just a little bit to even out the skin. By comparison, the Water Fresh Complexion Touch, and I have mine in the shade B30, is what I would describe more as a mid to possibly buildable foundation coverage, at least for me. And keep in mind, I'm someone who applies very sheer amounts of base products. I don't like to slather foundation, concealer, that kind of thing. I'm quite minimalistic when it comes to using my base products, just because they end up looking really heavy if I apply too much. Like in real life, it looks very heavy if you apply too much of this. So I treat this as a mid to buildable foundation, and I apply only one pump for my whole face. You will also see that there is no concealer here, because I just don't feel the need to take a concealer. I also don't take a concealer when I go to Sofia, because I just really enjoy using this product. This sits beautifully under the skin. In terms of The quality of this product. One of the reasons that I like traveling with it is possibly a somewhat contradictory, controversial reason. You would think that this being a Chanel product would be housed in somewhat more expensive and hefty packaging, and it would not be ideal for traveling. However, this is housed in a relatively lightweight, cheap plastic bag. I mean cheap, okay, you know, probably mid-range, not extremely cheap, but it's just plastic packaging. It's not very hefty. It doesn't, you can see it's quite compact in terms of its size, and it just barely adds any weight to it. And because I have just a little bit left, it's really quite lightweight in my luggage. So I really like taking it with me. Additionally, because of the fact that it just doesn't add much weight to my luggage. Like if I were to take the hefty bottle from Estee Lauder, just the bottle itself is so much weightier than the actual product in there. So by comparison, this is much more pragmatic to take with you when you're traveling. In terms of the formula of this, it's a lovely formula. It's very skin-like. It's a really lovely finish on the skin. It's sort of like a natural dewy finish. I wouldn't say it's a mattifying finish. It's definitely not one of the most dewy products I've ever used, but it sits somewhere comfortably in between. And what is also lovely about this product is that it has the ability to stretch across your shade, you know, range, in case you decide to change the color of your complexion midway through your holiday, which is obviously what happens when you go on your summer vacation. When you go on your summer vacation, at least I get a little bit of a tan. Even if I slather myself in SPF, I'm still in the sun a lot, I'm in the swimming pool, in the sea, so I will change a little bit of shade. The convenient thing about this product is that it somehow very comfortably stretches across my normal shade and my tan shade. So even if I apply this midway through my holiday when I'm already a bit more tan, it's somehow very forgiving when that happens. Let me spread it out a little bit so you can see. Possibly it's just a shade too light for me right now, like half to a shade too light, but because I applied very sheerly, you can see, you can barely really tell. If I were to take a foundation with me, say if I had taken the Estee Lauder Double Wear in the shade 211, this would not have worked for me towards the end of the holiday. It would have actually made me look like Casper the Ghost. So I'm also, like, in that sense, thinking pragmatically about what can I take with me where I don't have to take multiple shades because I'm afraid that I'm going to tan. Okay, moving on. Like I said, foundation and concealer in one because it has a very pleasant texture and I don't really care about, you know, highlighting underneath my eyes when I'm on holiday. This works perfectly as both foundation and concealer. And then to set this product, I used the remnants of my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in the shade 1 Fair. As you can see, I just have like a little bit left of this product here, and I decided last year that this is going to be the powder that I travel with on holiday and for work because it is a very reliable powder. This is the kind of powder that mattifies, blurs, and makes your foundation last a really long time. So I thought, right now, because it's almost finished, it's probably the perfect product to take with me because it doesn't add additional weight. If I were to take anything else, obviously, which would be more new, it would add additional weight to my luggage. So I love traveling with this, and I'm just going to finish it in this manner until it's completely gone. And then I might consider popping out this pan and trying to just buy a refill if I decide to ever go back to the Charlotte Tilbury powder. I used the Water Fresh Complexion Touch from Chanel together with my Sonia G Keyaki brush. This is the original set. You can see it's much smaller than the size of the regular brushes. This is by comparison the regular size of the same brush. This is the mini base brush. I love traveling with this brush because while it is a little bit small to cover the whole face in your day-to-day life, when I'm on holiday, I don't really care how long if it takes a few additional seconds to apply my foundation, I don't care. Plus this brush works really well to reach underneath my eyes, so it's a foundation slash concealer brush all in one, and I love it for that. I love these mini Keyaki brush sets because they're very convenient for travel. And then to set the foundation and the powder, I actually used this sponge from Real Techniques for the powder. So I would just like swirl it around and then tap it onto my skin to set the foundation, because I didn't want to take a powder brush with me, but I did want to take a sponge, because I do set my makeup. I really like to set the powder products on my face with a little bit of Fix Plus. This bottle says Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. This hasn't housed the actual Makeup Forever product in many years. I just saved the little bottle because it's very convenient for traveling. And what you see here is the last bits of MAC Fix Plus, which I still have. When this is finished, I'm going to replenish it with the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush, what is it? The Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, which is my favorite new setting spray. Because I want to always set my base products with a little bit of Fix Plus, and I always apply this not straight onto my face but onto the sponge, and then I dab it onto my skin, I always want to have a sponge with me. So I took the sponge for the dual purpose of both powder application and setting with a fixing spray. And then let's talk about bronzer, highlighter and blush. For that purpose, I took my beautiful Pat McGrath Labs, what is this called again? I can never remember the name of this palette. It's the Trio in Nirvana in Bloom, which houses 3 products. It houses Bronze Nirvana as a bronzer, Sunset Bloom as a blush, which is one of the few blushes that is present in some of these palettes that are not actually in the original, like the regular lineup. This is just really exclusive to this palette. And also the shade Lotus Nectar, which is one of the highlighters. I was debating between this and my Hourglass palette. So this is my Hourglass palette, this is the Evil Eye palette. As you can see, this would have offered me more options, much more options when it comes to blush, because it houses 3 different shades of blushes. Again, 1 bronzer, 1 highlighter and a setting powder. However, this is much heavier, and when I thought about it, I considered the fact that I'm not really going to need to have that much variety in the blush shades, and I would really much rather take something that is a little bit lighter, because when we go on holiday, my husband, my son and I share a suitcase, and I always set the limit of the suitcase to 20 kilograms max. So I thought, you know, I'm not going to add any extra weight if I don't really feel like I'm going to need this. I would definitely take this on a trip to Sofia with me, because I would like to have more blush options if I'm going to wear my makeup all day and I'm going to switch it up every day. But you know, for a week and a few hours in those evenings, it really just didn't matter to me. And I do really enjoy this palette quite a bit, because I think it is the embodiment of summer for me personally on my skin. In terms of like all the 3 shades, they work really beautifully together. Let me quickly give them a swatch. And it is also the perfect opportunity for me, especially to wear the highlighter, because the highlighter is the type of shade that really wouldn't work on me in any other time of the year. It would work as a blush topper, but not really as a blush. And you can see I've gotten some really like decent use out of these 3 products. If you look at the indentation on the blush, you can really tell that I've put a dent in it. And you can tell, perfect shades for the summer, right? This beautiful like rosy, rose gold, warm bronzery shade. What else do you need? I didn't get bored with this palette, even though I used it all the 6 days that I wore makeup there. I'm always happy with the finish of these powders, because the Pat McGrath Labs powders are really impeccable when it comes to their finish and longevity. So I didn't really find the need to have more options when it comes to these products, and I was perfectly happy to take this palette with me. When it comes to the application of these products, again, I had these 2 brushes with me. This one is from Sonia, also from the Keyaki, the original Keyaki set. This is the Classic Face, and I also have this brush in the normal format size of the handle with this beautiful walnut handle, because I absolutely adore this brush. This brush is perfect for bronzer, it is perfect for blush, it probably was also perfect for highlighter, and it was only because I was feeling a little bit extra that I took this brush with me from Zoeva. This is the 134 Luxe Powder Fusion, perfect for application of like diffuse application of highlighter. And because I knew I was going to have this highlighter shade with me, which tends to be a little bit deeper for my skin, I wanted to have a somewhat more diffuse application, so that's why I chose this brush. I thought with this one I'm going to be very imprecise, and it's going to end up being more of a blush topper than really a highlighter. So before we talk about eyeshadow and mascara, let's quickly talk about brows. I took the last little bits of my Too Faced laminating brow wax, so I finished my previous tub of this and I threw it out there, so I didn't drag the empty packaging with me, so you're not going to see it in my monthly roundup and empties, but I did actually finish another one of these Too Faced laminating brow wax products, and this is just a new one, and I took this little spoolie because otherwise you might end up with little white crust on your brows. Given that the product was towards the end of its life and there wasn't that much left in the tub, probably that would have been fine, but just to make sure I took this little spoolie with me because it also allows me to comb through my brows quite nicely. Okay, for eyes I have another product here that is brand new. I took the Inglot Eyeshadow Keeper with me, but I don't know if you remember from my previous videos, I actually had the last little bits of my previous tub deposited into a little container, and that is what I used with me on holiday. I already cleaned off the container so that I can reuse it eventually, but I did use the last little bits of my Inglot Eyeshadow Keeper to put as a base underneath my eyeshadow. To be honest with you, I was doubting a little bit whether I should take it at all, because I thought for the couple of hours I'm going to wear the eyeshadow, it's probably going to be fine. But because I took the Pat McGrath Lab Squint, and these eyeshadows are quite emollient and they are quite prone to creasing, I thought, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to use up those very last bits of the Inglot Eyeshadow Keeper while I'm there, and make sure that I don't really get any creasing, even for the few hours that I wear the eyeshadow. But Inglot Eyeshadow Keeper was with me. I think I have mentioned this quite a few times in previous videos, like from previous years. I've commented on people's channels when they've talked about what kind of makeup they take with them, but for me, one of the eyeshadow palettes that has become an absolute traveling staple for me in the last couple of years is Bronze Bliss from Pat McGrath Lab. So this is one of the original two quints that were released in 2022 when she first introduced this formula. And one of the reasons that I feel very comfortable traveling with this palette, even though it is one of my absolute favorites and I could not live without it, is the fact that I have a backup of it. And yes, I know that I have said multiple times that buying backups of color cosmetics like this is a really dumb idea, but in this specific case I think for me it was worth it, because this is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes and you can tell how much I've already used it. I'm actually pretty sure that this shade in particular I'm about to hit pan on in one of my next travels, because I absolutely love these eyeshadows. First of all, I think this is the type of palette, you know, basically weighs nothing. It's extremely compact, it's very lightweight. That is absolutely fantastic for traveling because it doesn't add any weight to your luggage and it doesn't take up a lot of space in your makeup bag. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And the other thing is, this is a beautiful selection of neutral shades. You can go warm, you can go a bit more like neutral warm, you can go really cool toned, you can do really glamorous looks, you can do one and dones. That is the reason I absolutely adore this palette, and you can do all of these things while maintaining a level of glamour, sophistication, and if you like your sparkle, you can bet that you're going to get lots and lots of sparkle with this formula. So let me quickly swatch this palette for you in case you're not familiar with it. Let me first swatch the metallic shades and then we're going to give a swatch to the matte. I don't use the matte that often because in fact I stick to the three shades that I'm going to swatch for you now. And of course this highlight shade here, which I always use as an inner corner highlight. Let me give you a quick swatch of the charcoal matte shade as well. So the types of looks that I do with this palette are usually centered around one and done looks, especially these two shades here, so the rose goldy bronzy shade and the brown gold. Oh, these are some of my favorites to do one and done looks. Just use my fluffy little brush here from M Brush by Maxineshka. This is one of my favorite brushes. This is the 06. So I just go in the eyeshadow, I blend it out across my whole lid, I blend it out through my crease, and then I either leave it at that or I will add additional sparkle. That's the reason that the Milky Way palette came with me, because I can't really take my Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palettes and I didn't really feel like dragging a bunch of my Wycon singles. I thought I'm going to take the Bobbi Brown palette because I actually really enjoy this palette. And you know what, I actually think this is a fantastic selection for like a summer eyeshadow palette because it has this beautiful rosy gold shade, this sparkling silvery pink, my beautiful VR Nectar dupe. The only eyeshadow that I dislike, I don't use much, and I think it's a shame that it's in this palette, in both of these palettes, actually in all of my Bobbi Brown Looks eyeshadow palettes, are the mattes. As gorgeous, high quality and impeccable the Hard Gelée formula is when it comes to metallics and sparkly eyeshadows. Let me quickly swatch these for you. So the VR Nectar dupe works beautifully with these two shades. So when I were to use these two shades together, I would put this one with the Zoeva Luxe pencil brush This one just like smudged as a liner and maybe across my lower lashes a little bit, and then this very sparingly used all over the lid and blended through the crease, and this shade would always go in my inner corners. And these three shades I would use interchangeably, either layered with each other or layered over the shades from Pat McGrath, or for a standalone look, you know, any sort of combination would work. Like I said, as impeccable as this formula, this hard gelée formula is for metallic and sparkly shadows, it is absolute trash when it comes to matte eyeshadows. This is one of the, I think, 4 or 5 mattes that I have in this formula. There is one in the other palette that I have, what was this called, Star-Crossed, and I also have 2 more like lighter browns in an older limited edition holiday collection, and this formula just really doesn't work very well as a matte. It's quite sheer, it's not very buildable, you cannot build any sort of depth with it, and to me it's just like freaking wasted space in here. I used these 2 brushes a lot, the number 6 from M Brush by Maxineshka and the Lux pencil from Zoeva. Any pencil brush would have worked. I did also take my flat shader from Maxineshka, so this is the number 29, but I found myself not really using it because I did so many one and done looks where I would just use the fluffy blending / packing brush, like the MAC 217 type brush, that I didn't really find the need to have the flat shader. So the flat shader didn't really have to come with me, but okay, I took it with me just in case. And then for the first time ever, I didn't really take a lash curler with me, and I wanted to talk about that because I regretted my choice. And the reason I regretted my choice is because when I go on holiday, especially when I go on like summer holiday, I don't really take my Estee Lauder Little Black Primer with me. And the thing is, all of these seemingly insignificant steps, such as curling your lashes, applying a little bit of lash primer before your mascara, they do add a little bit of something to your lashes. Again, because I was only going to wear mascara for a couple of hours and I didn't want to bother too much having to remove it, and that's one of the reasons I never really take the Little Black Primer from Estee Lauder with me, because that is a pain in the ass to remove. It requires some serious oil-based remover to come off, and I knew that my mom was going to take some sort of micellar water from Yves Rocher with her. I did have 2 sachets from the Lisa Eldridge, whatever she calls her makeup remover thing, and that's fantastic. That removes everything quite easily, but I didn't want to open the sachets because my mom was bringing that bottle with her. She dragged it all the way with her from Sofia to the beach, so I wanted to, you know, make use of her effort, so I used that micellar water. And thank goodness I didn't take the primer with me, because that thing was trash at removing makeup. It's one of the reasons I really hate those micellar water type things. The only micellar water I can use is one that is like a biphase, where you also have an oil layer. Otherwise, my mascara just does not come off. Anyway, I regretted though not having my lash curler, because my lashes are the type that if you don't really curl them, they droop quite a bit, and I just find them a little bit boring when I don't curl them. So I slightly regretted not taking my curler with me. But I was feeling quite extra, and I decided to last minute add the Lisa Eldridge Kitten Lash Mascara in the shade Burnt Umber with me. I had the Prada Scope Mascara because of course I wanted to have a black mascara with me, and in fact I wanted to finish this mascara because this is pretty much gone by now. There's only maybe a teeny bit left in here, but for the most part this mascara is gone. I quite enjoy this mascara. It's a very black, very reliable mascara, doesn't smudge, really separates the lashes well. It just has a natural talent at separating the lashes and giving them like a very beautiful fluttery effect while adding a little bit of volume and length. It's a really solid mascara, and I would definitely consider repurchasing this at some point because I think the packaging is stunning, and it really, in terms of a mascara, this is a really solid mascara. I think taking Burnt Umber with me was overkill. And it also taught me a valuable lesson, which is that this mascara, without the help of the primer and the curling, especially the primer, is even less impressive if you only use this mascara. This adds zero volume to your lashes. This gives them a nice fluttery effect. It adds a little bit of color, minimal length, and pretty much zero volume. So it is a very unimpressive mascara if I use it on its own. I have very thick lashes and very unruly lashes, so I found this mascara very unimpressive without a curler and without my lash primer. So I used it once, I think. I didn't really like it. It was more difficult to remove with the micellar water, so I didn't use it again. So this was a bit of a regret. I should really stick to using this mascara with my lash primer. So this is going to be this was a valuable lesson learned. The Productscope was a hit though. And finally, the category where I feel like I allow myself always the most amount of variability and freedom of choice is usually lip products. Let me try to scrub this makeup that I stained my little makeup table with here before we proceed. Okay, this looks semi-decent now. So I took 5 lipsticks for a total of 6 evenings that I was going to wear makeup, which maybe for a more minimalist type approach would seem like an overkill, but I really wanted to have my choices. So let me tell you the lipsticks that I chose. And the lipsticks that I chose, and I always choose when I travel, they're always tightly coordinated with the clothes that I'm taking. I took 4 summer dresses with me, and I knew that each of these lipsticks would work beautifully with most of these dresses. As you will see, most of these shades are either pinks or reds, but let's go through them really quickly. Okay, the only lucent that I took with me was Wonder Wheel from Lisa Eldridge. Wonder Wheel is a gorgeous color. It's like that beautiful watermelony hot pink, and it's the kind of lipstick that I really exclusively only wear in the summer months. It's one that I rarely think about, so I was very happy that I used this lipstick actually twice. And I paired it with a lip liner here from Essence, which is in the number 3. Sort of matches the shade, not really perfectly, but it matches well with the other similar type color that I took, which is, let me find it, which is the shade Skyscraper Rose. So this is one of the insanely saturated lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. Surely one of my absolute favorite lipsticks to wear in the summer. I mean, doesn't this fuchsia pink not scream summer to you? Beautiful shade. I used this lipstick either alone or layered together with Wonder Wheel. Absolutely love them, and this was the pencil that I used for both of them. And then of course I took my precious reds. First and foremost, let's find her. I don't really travel anywhere without my precious velvet ribbon, so this was one of the reds that I took with me. This is from the Velvet formula. This is my favorite red lipstick, the classic red to, you know, beat all other classic reds. I absolutely love this lipstick. And of course I had the ribbon lip liner. Mine is a little bit broken, but what you gotta do. So of course ribbon was with me, and I also took another one of my insanely saturated reds. This one is in the shade Skyscraper Rose. Bright fun red. My only complaint with this specific shade is because it's the kind of lipstick that clearly has a bit more of like a white pigment base to it. This one feels more drying on the lips, and it can look a little bit flaky if your lips are a little bit drier, or if you ate some food and you want to reapply it. This one requires a little bit more babying than the other lipsticks that I have here. And finally, this was actually a last minute choice, but it's a lipstick that I sometimes forget about, but I absolutely love, and that is the shade Velvet Bloom, which was a limited edition last year. This is such a beautiful, like purpley berry toned red. Absolutely gorgeous. I love this lipstick, and for some reason I tend to forget about it, so I decided to throw it in my bag last minute, and of course I took the matching lip liner with it. Perhaps one final note that is worth mentioning here, because I know a lot of people have had issues with these lipsticks breaking on them, especially the insanely saturated and the velvets. And even though I've traveled multiple times with them, I've traveled on summer holidays with them, none of them have ever broken on me. And I thought it might be interesting for you to see how I usually package them or like pack them when I go on holiday. So I will use one of these like small Ziploc baggies that I've gotten with orders of makeup or whatever, and then I will just stack them like this all together. So all 5 of them, then I'll close this quite tightly, wrap it if there is space, and that's how I will put it in my bag. I will not let the lipsticks essentially bang around my makeup bag and in my suitcase. I will just have them very tightly and neatly stacked next to each other, and perhaps that really helps with them not breaking. I'm really not sure, but I've been very lucky, and even though I've traveled with them quite often, not one of them has ever broken on me. Anyway, I think that covers everything that I wanted to tell you today. I hope this video was somewhat interesting and useful for you. I'm very happy to hang out with you again because I've really missed making videos. I've watched some videos here and there on YouTube, but I haven't really had much time to follow along. I have not bought any makeup since the Lisa Eldridge Rouge Experience lipsticks that I bought in the beginning of June. I know, shocking. I'm also really shocked about it. But what can I say? I haven't really seen anything that sparked my interest. Currently, I am expecting with somewhat high anticipation, but also prepared to be slightly disappointed. I don't know. I don't really know which way this is going to go, but I'm talking about the Louis Vuitton Beauty line release, because of course Dame Pat McGrath is behind it. That's really the only reason I care about this release. This is the only release that I'm currently looking forward to, and obviously the upcoming holiday release from Pat McGrath Labs themselves. But for the rest, I haven't really seen anything that sparked my interest, you guys. There is one blush from YSL that I'm really trying not to buy, and for the rest, nothing has really piqued my interest. So I would love to know what you have bought in the past few months. Did you go on holiday? What were your top 3 essentials on your summer holiday? Let's chat about it in the comment section below. As usual, thank you so very much for watching. So nice to see you again, and I'll see you again in my next video, which is going to be hopefully very, very soon. Bye!